Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Q3 FY21 earnings conference call for Yes Bank Limited. On the management panel, we have Mr. Prashant Kumar, MD and CEO, Yes Bank, Mr. Niranjan Banodkar, Group Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Rajan Pental, Global Head, Retail Banking, and Mr. Ashish Agarwal, Global Head, Wholesale Banking. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the opening remarks conclude. Should you need assistance during the conference, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I would now request Mr. Prashant Kumar to address the participants. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
So thank you and very good evening to all of you who are joining us on this quarterly earnings call. And first I would like to give you some, what we feel on the ground in terms of how the things are improving or what is the traction. So I think overall what we are seeing that confidence coming back, there is a gradual improvement in both for the demand for credit and also in terms of improvement on the collection efficiency. We are very near to pre-COVID levels in both the cases, but definitely I think it will take some more time where there will be, improvement in terms of the jobs and more on the ground level. On the deposit side, we have been able to increase our deposits by almost 8% quarter on quarter and 39% over a period of 9 months. And for the first time in the last 4 quarters, there is an improvement on the CASA ratio, which is at now 26%. And in fact, when we have started our drive for customer acquisition, so earlier it used to be 45,000, 50,000 accounts per month. Last month we have reached to almost 85,000. And in fact, in December quarter, we have opened 2.2 lakh CASA accounts as compared to 1.5 lakh accounts last quarter. So we are seeing the momentum on the deposit side, and this is despite our gradual reduction in our rate of interest. And because of that, our cost of funding and cost of deposit is gradually coming down. We are seeing the same traction on the loan side. There is more traction on the retail and MSME, and we have kept a target of 10,000 crores of disbursement on the retail and MSME for the quarter 3. And against the 10,000, we have disbursed almost 12,000 crores in retail and MSME. And on corporate side, our disbursement was around 2,000 crores. So in line with our business strategy to have more focus on retail and MSME, our retail advances mix has improved to 28% from 24% last quarter. And we are seeing during the current times also this kind of demand coming from retail, MSME and on the corporates. And we would be very cautious in terms of the risk profile of the customer. But I think we would be able to grow in the same way during the current quarter also. Now coming back on the profitability side, bank has registered an operating profit of 2,286 crores, which is a 68% growth quarter on quarter. And out of this operating profit of 2,286, coupled with a write back of provisions, we were able to make adequate provisions in our existing NPA and NPI book, and also create an additional COVID provision of 765 crores. So as of now, the aggregate COVID provision is 2,683. Along with this, because of the provisioning made on the NPA and NPI, our provision coverage for NPA has improved to 76.8, and if we also include the technical write-off, then the provision coverage is almost 81%. On the NPI also, our provision coverage has improved from 70 to almost 78%. And because of this provisioning, our net NPA number has come down to 4% against 4.7% last quarter. So after making these provisions, it's the third consecutive quarter where bank has registered a net profit. So this time net profit is 151 crores as compared to a loss of more than 18,000 crores in the corresponding quarter of last financial year. Net interest income has also grown by almost 30% quarter on quarter. The NIMs are around 3.4%. The non-interest income has also improved by 70% quarter on quarter, and there is a significant increase on the retail fee income. Our operating expenses, though, have gone up in the current quarter as compared to last quarter, but still it's a 13% YOY reduction. And because of the improvement in the earnings and reduction on the cost side, our expenses ratio has improved to 43% as compared to 49% at the end of quarter 2. So overall, if we see the business is growing, very decent business growth, and we have been able to reduce our CD ratio to 116% from the earlier of 124% at the end of quarter 2. There is a business growth, there is a improvement on the profitability side. We have also been able to make a decent recovery from our existing NPA and NPI. So in the current quarter, we have been able to make a cash recovery of 1,512 crores. And for the 9 months, it was 2,947 crores. And the PLN impact of these recoveries is 1,283 crores during the current quarter and 2,430 crores for the previous 9 months. So I think we are continuously going to see this traction, where in the fourth quarter also we are expecting recoveries and the business growth in line with what we have seen in the quarter 3. We have also given a number in terms of restructuring. So almost 8,000 crores we have invoked the restructuring, and where it would be implemented during the current quarter, or some may slip to the next quarter also, because we have a time up to 30th June for implementation of the restructuring. We have also given a number of standstill NPAs. Those standstill NPAs, excluding the restructuring book, is 7,058. We have also given a position of overdue advances between 61 to 90 days, and excluding restructuring part, that is something around 3,432. But both the categories, whether 61 to 90 days or more than 90 days, these are those accounts where there is an impact of COVID, and we believe that upgradation would be comparatively much easier as compared to the sticky NPA accounts. But definitely we need to work on this, and the provisions which we are carrying for COVID, which is 2,683, is sufficient to take care of the provisioning requirement on the restructuring book as well as on the standstill NPAs. And still we have the fourth quarter with us to have the recoveries and any operative PPOP kind of number. So I would stop here, and the entire management team here would be very happy to respond to your questions or answer any clarification. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Please note, in the interest of time, we will be taking a maximum of 2 questions from each participant. Should you have a follow-up question, we request you to rejoin the queue. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. To ask questions, please press star and 1. The first question is from the line of Suresh Ganapathy from Macquarie. Please go ahead. Mr. Suresh, you may go ahead with the question.
Hello, you can hear me?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yes, sure. Okay, thanks for taking my question. So, a question on, if you look at page 17 or slide 17 of your presentation, so I just wanted to understand or reconcile whether there are any overlaps here. So, what you are saying is that the total pool is 18,551 crores, which is as per 90-day overdue by Supreme Court, 61 to 90-day, and COVID-19 restructuring. Right? 18,551.
Right.
If I were to include 31 to 60-day overdue, excluding the overlap of 2,575 crores, it means another 10,000 crores I have to add to this 18,551, right?
Right.
So the total number is 28,551, right?
Right.
Roughly, mota. Okay, and this 28,551, you are carrying a provisioning of 2,683 crores.
So I think this is something where there is a disconnect. Because the provisioning requirement is either for the standstill NPA or for the restructuring. Okay. I think if you see any financial institution and if you see the customer behavior, there are large number of customers who are always either more than 30 days overdue, 30 to 60 days, and 60 to 90. So these customers can make you payment maybe on the 80-90 day kind of thing, or maybe around 45 days. So this is a normal thing which happens even during the pre-COVID time. So it is not like everything is at risk, but definitely standstill NPA is a NPA, and 61 to 90 days it is again like everything would slip. Some amount would slip here, some amount would come back, and some amount from 31 to 60 days also ultimately move to the standstill NPA category. So we have done a very granular analysis, and our understanding is that overall restructuring and the slippage would be confined between this 18,500 kind of thing.
No, so let me hypothetically assume that the total stress book, which is more than 30-day overdue, without any overlaps, is 28,000 crore, and in general you have got a contingent provision of 2,700 crores, which is COVID provision. I don't want to earmark to this book, that's the interpretation. I just wanted to reconcile that there is no overlap here, right?
Yes, there is no overlap. But only disconnect is, Suresh, when you say that you are having a provision of 2,600 crores for 28,000. So this is not correct. We are having a provision only for the standstill NPAs and the restructuring. Okay,
clear. And there is no overlap of this 28,000 crores with the 42,000 crores that you're reporting as of December 20.
Right.
So this 28,000 is over and above the 42,000 crores that has been reported. Okay, this is very clear, Mr. Kumar. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, a reminder to participants that you may press star and 1 to join the question queue. The next question is from the line of Nikhil Dalani, who's an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, Nikhil, please go ahead.
Hello?
Hello, we are able to hear you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for taking my question. So my first question is regarding fundraise. What was the need? We raised 15,000 crores recently. And what was the need for raising 10,000 crores more? Because this could lead to an equity dilution and also could affect current shareholders.
So basically, as of now, we don't have the approval of shareholders as a process to raise any equity if there is a need. Okay. And getting a shareholder approval takes a long time, which is around 45 days to 60 days. So we have just taken an enabling provision to raise capital from the board and up to 10,000. So it is not like to raise 10,000. So this is just a enabling provision to raise capital up to 10,000, and after that we will take the approval of the shareholder, so that we have the approvals in place, that in case if we find good growth opportunities, then those should not be missed only because of the lack of capital. So if there are good growth opportunities, we will try to raise some capital also.
Okay. The reason why I asked that, sir, was last time, I mean, during past interviews also, it was mentioned from your end that we won't need any capital and it's sufficient for 2 years, including for growth. So I just wanted to understand what changed lately that we thought of going ahead of at least making a provision of fundraise of 10,000 crores.
No, so basically, again, like I would repeat, it's not a fundraise of 10,000. This is just an enabling provision that if there is a requirement for growth, then we can immediately step into the market.
Okay. So the second question is, in recent interviews, you said that previously we had considered that there might be a recovery from the old NPAs will be close to, LGDs will be close to 70%. But recently, in one of the interviews, you said we could have a recovery of 50%. So basically that means, and I'm just assuming that means the interpretation of that is that 50% could be LGD. So does that still stand? I mean, or are we still at 70% LGDs from the old loans?
So I think if you see at no point of time, we have said that LGD would be 70%. This was the estimate made by the external agencies that on the stress asset pool, they have calculated that it basically from their part it was something around 60%. And we were saying that we have made a 75% provision, so which is sufficient to take care of even a recovery of 60%. But what we have seen, and again I would like to repeat those numbers, if you see the recoveries which we have made, almost 3,000 crores in 9 months, there the P&L advantage is almost 2,430 crores out of 3,000. So if you see overall our recovery is much better than this. When I said 50%, 50% was on the aggregate basis, because you have some assets where you don't have the securities, your recoveries will be lower. But I think on aggregate basis, recovery of 50% is something which we are quite hopeful.
Okay. And sir, my last question is on pro forma gross NPAs. It's as you mentioned before this in during press release that you not press release but while press conference that the pro forma gross NPAs are close to 20%. So what are the pro forma net NPAs? I mean, considering the provision we have taken, if you could share that number.
No, so this is only a gross GNPA number. So question was that as of now we are having a 15.5. So if we also consider the standstill NPAs, then the gross NPA percentage would become around 19.5 to 20 kind of thing. Okay.
Yes.
Only thing is
numbers.
Sorry.
So in similar way, would it be possible for us, considering the provisions we've taken, to come up with a pro forma net NPA? I'm just.
So if you see our net NPA ratio as of now is 4%, okay? So we will see how much provision we make, but we will make adequate provision so that the net NPA ratios remain within the acceptable limits.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. This is from my end.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mahrukh Adajania from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Hi.
Yeah.
In your pro forma NPLs on the corporate side, how many accounts would that be, roughly?
So if you are talking of number of accounts?
Yes, sir.
So I think that you have managed that figure. We'll come back on that question. We'll come back on this.
Okay, and sir, any sectoral flavor?
No, not a sectoral kind of thing, but definitely the impact of COVID is more on the hospitality industry, real estate, entertainment. Okay. So basically these are the sectors which have been severely impacted because of the COVID. and the current standstill NPAs are mostly from these sectors.
Got it, sir. So, and would you be in a position to quantify the collection efficiency at end December or?
So on the retail side, our collection efficiency has improved to 96%, and pre-COVID level we were 97%.
Got it, sir. So, and there's also a lot of discussion around a bad bank you want to float. Would you have any comments on that?
So we want to set up a ARC kind of a structure. Okay. So only thing is that we are waiting for the regulatory approvals for that.
Oh, so if the regulatory approval comes, it will be formed soon.
Yeah.
And so how will it work? You will transfer all your, what proportion of GNPLs would be transferred? How will it look like?
So we would like to transfer the entire stock of the NPAs to this entity at a fair market value.
Okay, and you will have SRs in return, something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. And who will manage the ARC?
So I think this is something which, depending on the regulatory approvals, we need to work whether definitely the management would be as an independent body. Okay. But depending on the regulatory approval, we need to take who would be having the controlling stake.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, a reminder to participants that you may press star and 1 to join the question queue. The next question is from the line of Mahesh MB from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
Good evening. Just one question again, extending Suresh's question earlier. When we look at the presentation for 2Q and you see the numbers there, the summary of the labeled exposures that you seem to have given there has seen a very, very sharp jump. So just trying to reconcile what happened in this quarter that you saw such a sharp jump.
So, Mahesh, we've seen approximately 1,400 crores of book that in which the date of commencement of operations has been deferred by 1 year, and we've made the commensurate provision required as well. So that is one piece. The second is what we've also done is we've also disclosed the exposure where you will have the June 7 circular application. So even that we have brought into the disclosure.
Sorry, but how does that change so much in terms of? Sorry, I didn't. If the June 7th circular, how does it change? Sorry,
So for example, in case there is any particular let's say default in any particular account, there is a certain timeline within which you are supposed to follow the implementation of RP. Now, it is possible there is servicing the debt, but technically, if they have not cleared the debt across the banking sector, there could be some provisioning requirement. So we have also brought that into the disclosure.
Oh, okay. And is it a fair assumption to say that the probability of slippages now seems to be extremely high, given that there is the corporate has exhibited a default? So just trying to see the basic idea, Niranjan, here is that, look, the number suddenly has shot up to a little over 28,000 crores. So we're just trying to kind of figure out as to what should we look at in terms of gross and net NPAs in the coming few quarters.
No, I think what we need to make a distinction, Mahesh, that when we are talking of 28,000, we are taking overdue of more than 30 days, which is a normal thing for any bank to have the overdue position. Like if suppose if this kind of situation had not been there, banks are having always the exposures which are between 30 to 60 or 60 to 90, which actually does not slip to NPA. So there are customers who always pay after a lag.
So, okay. So you as per your expectation, you say that things may have not changed too much as compared to 2Q? or do you see that there has been a marked deterioration? Because this update that you have given today appears to be a lot more stressed for the bank.
So naturally, like I think from the very beginning what we are saying that there is a COVID-related stress on some of the sectors, okay, and that kind of stress we are seeing is getting elongated because like certain sectors, hospitality, real estate, they are still not seeing they have come back to the absolute normal situation. So definitely for initially if a person is say 30 days overdue, and if you don't see any improvement in that sector, the 30 days would become 60 days or 90 days. That may happen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, just one corresponding question to this. You couldn't have moved this exposure through the ECLGS 2.0.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just asking the question. You couldn't do it. Or
No, so emergency credit line, there was some eligibility criteria. So everything would not be eligible for emergency credit line. Okay, so that is one part. And then second thing that we were also very careful in terms of using the emergency credit line only for genuine needs, not for postponing the problems.
okay, perfect. Okay, thanks a lot.
Just want to add one point which is very important. You were talking about 30 plus. So normally, you would always see in any running portfolio a check bounce of, in the best of the portfolios, maybe anything between 6 to 8%. Right? We are seeing some elevated levels which the industry saw it over a period of time. But the resolution also is around 97-98% is the best of the things. So I think you should segregate these and then look both of them separately. That is the way to understand it better.
Sure. The reason we are asking is that, look, there is an accounting provisions which the P&L has to take, and it has consequent impact on capital as compared to the recoveries that you are talking about or resolutions that you're talking about here. If there's a timing mismatch between the two, then it creates problem on the stock price. So just trying to understand how do we see this entire movement? That's the whole point of this entire exercise of asking this question.
Very absolutely. So, but basically in our own estimate, the book at risk is around this 18,000, including a restructuring book of around 8,000.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, a reminder once again to participants that you may press star and 1 to join the question queue. Next question is from Mahrukh Adajania from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Sir, could you share the disbursements under ECLGS 2 and the total under ECLGS 1 so far?
So, total disbursement this quarter is approximately 1,000 crores, and cumulative disbursement would be about 3,200 crores, including this quarter's 1,000 crores.
Okay. But how much would be ECLGS 2 out of that?
The 900 to 1,000 crores that I mentioned would be the ECLGS 2.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Participants who wish to ask questions may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. The next question is from Utsav Gogriwar from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir, this is Jay here. Could you share the top 3 corporate exposure in the restructuring where they have been invoked?
So restructuring, we have shared 8,000 crores has been invoked. If you see the slide 17 of our presentation, so for 8,000 crores we have invoked.
Right, sir, the top 3 sector in that, or the top 3 account actually by sector?
That would be the between the real estate and hospitality sector.
Sorry, sir, there's some disturbance. One is the real estate.
Real estate and the hospitality sector.
Okay, sure. And second, sir, if you have shared the collection efficiency for corporate, I missed that number, I think.
So I think the collection efficiency always works for the retail part, okay, which is 96%. On the MSME and corporates, we always see in terms of how the throughput is there and how the utilization or the overdue. So what we are seeing, throughput has improved, where there is a churning in the portfolio, and even the utilization of the limits is still not improved. So that gives us a signal in terms of a very prudent utilization of even the existing lines.
Okay. And sir, in corporate restructuring, I think the number that you have given is the proposal that you have received. And at least on the larger proposal, how confident are you in terms of it getting implemented? Because it seems that the restructuring would have to be passed through rating, it has to be signed ICA, etc. So do you see that at least the predominant restructuring earmarked in corporate should at least, a large part of it should get restructured without any hurdle, because otherwise it would have to go through the downgradation path?
No, so I would agree with you. When we have done the invocation, it is like we have seen overall whether it would qualify or not. But they have to get a rating, they have to get their financials in place, and we need to do a due diligence on them. And unless it would be able to clear all these filters, the restructuring would not be implemented.
Right. So these accounts should be restructured, right, without any much of a hurdle.
Sorry, can you again repeat?
Sorry, so I'm saying the bank is confident that these accounts will get restructured without any hurdle, procedural hurdle.
Right.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. And sorry, and sir, the FITL amount, if you have, for the bank as a whole, where the FITL money, which is the outstanding at a bank level.
No, I think we don't have that number at this point.
Okay, no worries, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Participants who wish to ask questions may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. The next question is from Kunal Shah from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So just maybe just to once again clarify, last time what you highlighted in terms of 30 to 90, which was 6,700, now it is fair to assume that that amount is 19,000.
Yeah.
12,000 plus 6,500. Okay. And when we look at it in terms of the interest treatment for this entire pool of 18,000 crores, maybe in terms of the standstill plus, so we are seeing like this is the pool which is at risk. Plus, when we look at it in terms of the GNPL, the other accounts which are there in terms of the standard restructured, which are again not the part of instead of restructured on 16 and restructured on 17, there is no overlap. So then what would be the overall interest treatment on this entire pool which is at risk?
The only thing is that interest treatment for the standstill NPAs. Okay, when they would slip into that category after the verdict, then we need to reverse the interest on that book from the date of the NPA. But whereas in case of restructuring, it would not be a reversal, it would be more in terms of how we take it, how the repayment would happen, what kind of treatment we give for the interest. But everything would be as per the RBI guidelines.
Yeah, but as of now, we are accruing the interest on this entire 18,000 crores.
Right.
And it's there in our margins as of now.
Absolutely.
Okay. And lastly, in terms of retail also, okay, when we look at it in terms of the standstill accounts plus maybe the overdue, so almost like 1,600 odd crores coming in from retail and maybe 800 odd crores coming in from the SME as well. And last time maybe we highlighted that maybe we are not seeing such a stress on the retail and the SME portfolio compared to that of the reported GNPL. And incrementally, I think there are still disbursements going on. So would that be more worry in terms of the further stress flowing on to the retail side? Or maybe this 4-5% of retail and SME which is currently getting reflected, that seems to be more or less the stress given the kind of growth which we have seen.
So
on the retail side, if you actually break it up, so first of all, there are segments which will take a little longer to come back in the normal business cycle, and we have an exposure on the commercial side of the loans. But having said that, most of them, majority of them, which we had explained last time also, were actually never into 30 before. So there would be, we had given a guidance that possibly from retail it can actually go to 3.2, and similarly for MSME can also go up to 3.5. But that would be a temporary phenomenon, and we are already seeing that a lot of corrections happening. We are seeing the limit utilization still hovering at around 70 to 75%. We are also seeing the collection efficiency actually going back to the normal level of 95-96%. So if you look at these indicators, then possibly for the entire industry, and now that you are getting comparative data also, there is definitely a increase, but I think this increase is temporary, and within 1 year's time, this would actually start leveling down, both for retail and MSME. The second part is on the 30 plus. Normally what you see in the industry is the typical write-off on 6 months basis. We carry it till 12 months. So the overall stock is very, very high. But our initial bounce rates which had peaked up to around 80%, are actually now down to around 9%, with the best being at 7.6. So we see in the next 1 or 2 months, I think it is actually heading back towards the normal levels. So I think this is absolutely going as per the guidance and not anything away. As far as the new business is concerned, obviously in line with the industry, and particularly we are into the safe zone markets with our presence. We have made some changes, but then we also in the criteria to tighten it. But then we are also seeing our demand pick up, and most of it is, whether it is internal or it is the business is sourced through the dealers, etc. Those are the businesses which are seeing an upswing. So both commercial vehicle and auto industry have actually seen an upswing. And even LAP with a lower LTV of hovering at around 60-65%, there is a good demand coming from 700 plus scores. So which are good customers to attain. So I think the entire basis on which it is growing also is in the safer zone only.
Sure. And just to recall, so there is no overlap between the restructured on 16 and 17 side. It's altogether different, 8,000 and whatever is the restructured, and so they are like over and above that.
So that's right, Kunal. Slide 16 will have restructure that has been fully implemented. 17 is which has been invoked but not yet.
Okay, and this is invoked and which will get implemented over next 10 months. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. That was the last question. There are no further questions in queue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. On behalf of Yes Bank Limited, that concludes the conference. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. You may now disconnect your line.